All right, hey everybody, welcome. My name is James. I am the head of the Soundboard team at Edge Theory. We are very glad you're here with us today. So we've done a little mini series of free open trainings here. This is the second of 3 planned at the moment. This one is going to be all about Facebook. If you missed our one last week, it's about LinkedIn, and you can check out the recording of that. I put some links in the chat. Either it's posted at either our Facebook page where this one will be posted, or you can catch it on our YouTube channel. So go subscribe to that. We'd love to have you. Next week we'll be talking all about Twitter, but today is, of course, all about Facebook. So I guess I'll start. I mentioned it before we started recording, but I'm sure you all have heard in the news, Facebook has come under a pretty robust examination of its practices and the Cambridge Analytica debacle, which basically this company, Cambridge Analytica, got a bunch of raw Facebook data, legally or illegally, nobody quite knows yet, but they were using this data to promise vast amounts of specific demographic information to the 2016 campaign, presidential election campaign. And of course, the big issue is how much data do these companies keep on us, particularly in this instance, Facebook? How much do they preserve? What are you actually getting into when you click on the I accept the terms of service? Does anybody ever read those terms of service? It's a lot. And of course, Facebook, 5 or 8 years ago, it was trying to position itself as the key to the internet, the gateway to the internet, where you would come and you would have all your communications, and they were going to disrupt email, and you were going to do all your shopping through Facebook, and it was just going to be this the hub of where you got all your information and where you took care of all your internet business. Of course, it hasn't really turned into that. So I don't really want to get too much into the politics of it, and I'm not going to get into a statement about whether or not you should be on Facebook at this point. My one statement that I'm going to make about that is this. It's 2018. Even if you don't pay close attention to the news with data leaks and information theft and what you are able to scrape from people who are on the web and on social media, even if you're not paying in detailed attention to that news, you probably still hear about these massive data leaks and things like that. So I guess my 2 cents is, in 2017, if you really believe in your heart of hearts that these big entities, whether they are government or corporate, if you believe that they have your best interests at heart and in their top of their minds as they're making decisions, you are gravely mistaken. So I'm going to leave that alone there, and let's talk about now how to navigate this world of Facebook in this season where they're coming under fire, they're having to peel back the curtain a little bit, and they're also making some pretty sweeping and grand announced changes to their algorithm. All right, so let's hop in there and talk about this, because my intention, of course, is to educate you, is to help you grow your business, is to help you leverage the power of social media and the power of connectivity to make those interpersonal connections so that you can get outside your own geographic network and really build your business with the help of some incredibly powerful technology. So let's try to cast things in a positive light from here on out and talk through these things. Okay, so Facebook started announcing a lot of these changes last fall, but they've published a lot more of these this spring, and now even more so with our man Zuckerberg being on Capitol Hill. A lot of the inner workings of this has surfaced, okay? But the announced changes that have come to the algorithm, the big picture things are that, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here, that Facebook is drastically trying to make your interactions on their platform more meaningful. Now, I don't know if this has come about because of what has been brought to light unwillingly, or they really were trying to head this direction. But basically, they're saying they want your time on the platform to be more meaningful, even if you end up spending less time on the platform. And so their algorithm has been tweaked to benefit your people who are in your friends and family network, so that you're seeing more of their posts. And it has upgraded the ability for you to find those text-only status updates from friends and family, where those used to get buried in lieu of video and things like that. And they really like, the algorithm really likes Facebook Live videos, where you're just being yourself, you're on there, you're telling your story, and you're doing it directly through the Facebook app. What has been downgraded or less likely to be found are posts from business pages, are posts and articles from particular websites, which we'll get into in a minute, and basically things to waste your time. So those third-party videos from BuzzFeed and things like that, that are those, 4-minute celebrity weight loss comparison picture slideshows, and slow motion cat videos and all those kinds of things. Depending on where they're coming from, your likelihood of seeing those are less and less. So what happens when you get on Facebook? When your home feed loads, within that second or half a second that you hit facebook.com and it processes, it has thousands of posts to pick from your friend network that they've published, and your business pages that you've liked, and the advertisements that it thinks you may be interested in. It has thousands of those to pick from. And how does it order them? It does not order them just newest to oldest chronologically like Twitter does. It's trying to provide what it thinks you most care about, all right? So once you put up a post, how do you keep it from just disappearing down in the thread and decaying is the word that they use. How do we prevent decay in the newsfeed to where it gets pushed down and nobody sees it? Well, the first thing that we have to think about is the type of posts that we're putting out there. Facebook, like we said, they love Facebook Live videos. And now they're favoring more and more status updates from your friends and family, and articles and things that you are sharing through your personal feed that you care about. All right, now let's go ahead and mention there's a couple of sites that are in their crosshairs of things that are going to get demoted because of total clickbait. Okay, and so the definition of clickbait is a little bit varied, but it is basically sites that create content that's either designed to present something that it thinks you might be interested in, but then it actually gives you something else when you get there, or something that is an article that should be set up as a long page where you could scroll and read as much as you want, but instead they set it up as a slideshow in every 2 paragraphs and an image, you have to click to the next page, and it ends up being a 13 or 14 click thing that you have to go through to see all of the content, and so all that, like, 14 craziest Russian dash cam videos and all those kinds of articles fit in that, because every time you click to get to the next image, the page reloads ads, and they're getting paid every time that happens, okay? So these sites have built their entire existence on that model, especially how easily they share to Facebook. So Vice.com, which is kind of an alternative news site, BuzzFeed, I'm sure you've heard of, Mashable, Bustle, Slate, and then there's a couple of things that had been considered true news in the past, Atlantic, the New Yorker, The Hill, things like that, that have modeled their sites after getting those clicks on Facebook. They're in big trouble, and Facebook's telling people. So if you post something from those sites, again, you can, but the likelihood of it being seen by a wide network of your friends is very low. All right, so we're sitting here looking at my home feed. Why? Because when my home feed loads, I have posts at the top that have a lot of interaction on them. Okay, this one's 2 hours old. Of course, there are newer things that Facebook could be showing me, but it's choosing to show me this because it's getting a lot of engagement. Okay, my college buddy posting here about baseball. There's a lot of conversation going on here. Now, of course, we've got an ad. I'm a video gamer. I get a lot of PlayStation ads. Now, we've got another article, but by my same buddy, Andy, got a lot of comments on it. So when an article gets a lot of comments and shares, it begins to slow that decay rate so that it's staying at the top of people's feeds who are in Andy's friend network. Now, I have not commented on either of these posts. All right. Now, of course, we've got some posts about some pictures from my aunt. We've got some photos and videos here of a former coworker who just lost a friend, but we've got video and images here. So you can see in these top couple of posts, we've got a mix of very personal stuff, and we do have an article here that's getting that engagement, so it's staying at the top, okay? So this is to encourage you as you're thinking about how do I post, what do I post, how do I best allow my content to have a lifespan. I want you to be, kind of encouraged by the fact that Facebook is continually upgrading those people's posts that share things that are exciting to them, that they care about, whether or not it's something personal or it can be an article. But then how do you make that, grab that attention and begin those comments? Well, I notice Andy does this a lot. He's a professor at Murray State in Kentucky. So he posts stuff he's a funny guy, he's a writer. He posts stuff to get those reactions out of his buddies like me. He also posts a lot of academic stuff and gets engagement from his students. Well, how does he start that? What he tends to do when he posts something is he'll make a statement about it, but then he'll also take the time to comment on the post himself. And so he'll be the first comment. He kind of treats it like a PS or a postscript. He does this intentionally, though, because when Facebook sees, aha, this post has a comment, it doesn't really care that he did it. He can either tag somebody in that comment or, just start it, but he's asking a question for people to respond to, and it works. And so this post is 5 hours old, and it's the second post in my feed, okay? It has that lifespan. So Facebook really favors posts that get those comments, that gets those shares, and gets those reactions. Now, what they're now downgrading, and for those of us who are trying to grow a business on Facebook, this is really good news. They're downgrading those videos that just start auto-playing, and you sit there and watch, and you don't comment on it, you don't engage with it, you don't actually have to click on the video to go to a separate link to watch it. It auto-plays right there. It knows it's muted, so a lot of times these videos have now started being subtitled, so you'll sit there and read. But Facebook is trying to right the ship, okay, and to get some favor back from the public. I want to read some excerpts here of a post that Zuckerberg put up this year. Of course, this is before he got called in front of Congress. But this is after this, and this is before the Cambridge Analytica stuff happened too. So I still think it's an interesting. I'm not going to read the whole thing. But so this is him posting January 11th. He said, "We built Facebook to help people stay connected and to bring us closer together with people that matter to us. So that's why we're now putting friends and family back at the core of our experience. We're trying to react to the research that is showing us that excessive amount of time spent on Facebook is bad." He's saying that outright. So we're trying to move away from the posts that businesses, brands, and media use that crowd out our personal moments and connect us with other people. It's easy to understand how we got here. Of course, video has exploded over the past couple of years, but video doesn't drive engagement. It drives consumption. He goes on to talk about how they're beginning to feel this responsibility to their Facebook family, and making this major change so that even if it means individuals spend less time on Facebook proper, the time that they spend there is more engaging. Now, all that to say, when you are making these posts, and I'll just throw, again, a quick blurb in here about Soundboard. When you're sharing a post from Soundboard, we do provide this suggested content for you to go along with the post. A lot of people really love this, but I encourage you to use this suggested text as a starter. Use it as something that kind of triggers your thoughts. What are your experiences with this? What are your opinions on this? So that when that post goes up, you are, really being yourself, that you are, sharing an aspect of this that you care about, why you care about it. And then do take that quick moment after you're on Soundboard and you post that article, come over to Facebook and tag somebody in it, or comment yourself and ask a question. Now, here's where we have to throw this other bit of news in. Facebook is actively saying that if you are engaging in, I think the phrasing that they call it is engagement baiting, you're going to be massively downgraded. Now, I don't really see individuals doing this as much. I still see businesses doing this. But what they do is, like, if you want to be registered for a giveaway, share if you'd rather have this. And so basically the whole post, the wording is designed to ask you to like or share. Share if you love X musical group. Like if you would want to go here on vacation. All that that's trying to do is get you to hit that click button so that they're driving their own numbers. Facebook's saying, we don't want that anymore. Of course, you can still buy ads on Facebook. That's a whole separate animal. But Facebook's saying that type of behavior is a big no-no now. Again, I don't see individuals doing that a lot, but just be aware of that kind of thing, okay? So now when you're sharing content, when you're sharing articles, when you are sharing other people's content to your timeline and making comments on it, that is also a very highly welcomed activity by Facebook, okay? So how do you get more people to share your stuff? Well, Facebook's made a pretty interesting little announcement about that, is this messenger service. They're now saying that if you're sharing content directly through Messenger, okay, if you're sharing links and articles or just using it to communicate, then they're really favoring that as an interaction between two people. If you've been on some of my trainings before, I've brought this up, but I'm going to make a quick blurb here again. I'm going to my profile, to my friend network here. The analogy that I think that's important to understand is we assume that we are the hub of a wheel on Facebook and that the spokes all go out equidistant to our friends in our friend network. And when we say something, it just radiates out evenly. Okay, that's not how it works. Facebook maintains a score, an invisible score between you and your other Facebook friends. And what happens is when you accept a friend request from somebody, regardless if they're your mother-in-law or whoever, if you don't interact with that person through the Facebook platform, over time, you have a very low affinity score with them, which means Facebook thinks you don't care about what they have to say. You're not seeing their posts, okay? So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it now, but some of my other trainings, we talk about how to overcome that, how to kind of break those bonds of that algorithm and to shake it up so that new people are seeing your stuff. Well, Facebook is now announcing that if you are sharing content and links through Messenger, this is a huge boost to that affinity score that you have between people. I bring that up because I think that content as a way to touch customers is an incredibly powerful resource because one, you're being personal, and two, you're showing them that you're thinking about them. So if you're, again, trying to make this easy for you, if you have somebody, if you have a customer that has a picky kid and they're on the chewables, right? You search for children's health. All right, we've got some articles here, back to school health. Now, obviously, this is not the most perfectly timed thing here. But all of these articles have this messenger. This is the Facebook Messenger button. You shoot that to somebody through Facebook Messenger. You can use this suggested text if you want. If not, it's a, hey, I saw this and was thinking about you. Remembered what we talked about the other day, and I hope that you have, a good experience with your kids at school this year. Something super light like that. But what Facebook is now saying is that is a massive boost to that relationship on Facebook. And so therefore, when you are making posts to your personal page or to your personal profile, the likelihood of that individual being served that post goes way up. And so that's a really beneficial thing, of course, not only from a connection standpoint, but also from a just customer touch. Great thing to do. All right, now it is a valuable thing when people react to posts. Of course, they don't have to do that, but now Facebook has all of these different things that you can do. So Facebook, again, is saying, we care about the kinds of content that is getting attention from real people. We're not going to bring the whole fake news thing into it right now, but I will mention that the rumor, unsubstantiated, the rumor is that Facebook's desire to combat the fake news debacle of 2016 and 2017 is to begin this system of users voting on the value of content that's posted from outside sources, okay? And so Facebook's assumption is that people will try to be good-minded and good-hearted and honest about this. Now, of course, we all know how the internet works, so we'll see how that turns out. But the desire for Facebook is that they can help weed out some of the trash and the fake news by allowing the user base to decide what is and what is not fake news. Now, we all know how polarized people can be, so we'll see how that goes. But the point is, if you're sharing the type of content that, again, that you care about and is getting that engagement, the value of that post is going to continue to rise. Now, how do you get that kind of thing? Well, I say this on every training. Soundboard's a great resource providing content, but you cannot be a one-way billboard of information out to people. You have to engage with people. You have to be a two-way street. Okay, now, Shanna, if you're on the call, hi, welcome. But I wanted to point this out because this is a perfect example of what I was talking about. Shanna is a Soundboard user. If you missed it, we did a great interview with her on our Facebook page a couple of weeks ago where she talks about her tips and tricks for growing the business. But I thought this was so cool. This was a Soundboard article that she found and posted yesterday. And this was the suggested text. She threw this little blurb in herself. How cool would this be? Love this idea. But you can see how much engagement this is getting, all right? And it's getting, a lot of reactions, a lot of comments. And so this is the type of post that is going to stay alive possibly for a day or two. I mean, it was close to the top of my feed, and it was posted 18 hours ago, all right? So you can see these great conversations that are going on. So there's just a lot of positives happening here for Shauna. One, again, she's being that authority to people. Two, she's providing valuable information, and so this is exactly the kind of thing that Facebook's talking about. They don't care that it's a link from an outside source. That's not a problem for them. I know that there's kind of this assumption sometimes that Facebook doesn't want you leaving their platform. Well, they're now saying it's okay if you spend less time on Facebook. And so you can see, all the interaction that she's getting, all these conversations that are going back and forth, all started from this one particular post. And she wasn't even the first person to comment on it. But you can see all the engagement that it's getting. So as you're thinking about, how do I attract this kind of attention, you've also got to be the kind of person that gives this kind of engagement and attention. Take a little bit of time. I'm not going to get into a lot of the information about Buffer right now, but there are some tools out there that Soundboard integrates with that lets you schedule out your posts ahead of time so that you don't have to think about, okay, what do I post today? And you can spend your time, if you have time to budget for social media each day, you can spend it on getting those quality engagements out there in place. Now, Jerry asked a question. Sorry, Jerry, you asked this a moment ago, and I'm just now seeing it. Jerry asked, how does sending one private message to one individual help that post get more circulation? Okay, so Jerry, it's not going to help that particular post get more circulation because it's a private message between two people. What it's doing is it's bolstering your affinity score with that individual so that when you make future posts, the likelihood of them being served your posts goes way, way up. Because it's all about, what the algorithm chooses to show you based on your relationships. So I hope that clarifies. So Facebook has reacted to, I don't know if you paid attention to, my head is in this space all day, every day, so I catch a lot of these things. But last fall, and then once again this spring, several former top Facebook executives who were there in the beginning, who designed the thing, came out and said, we built this thing to psychologically addict you to this platform. We won't allow our own children on it. And then several high-profile Silicon Valley people in the past couple of weeks, Elon Musk, and Tesla being one of them, publicly have disavowed Facebook and have removed their company business pages in light of, the data leaks and all this stuff. Now, my response to that is, again, don't let only the screaming headlines influence you. At the same time, be aware of the fact that in 2018, there is no such thing as privacy. Okay, I just spent 2 days in a cybersecurity conference with some very powerful minds and some top people from our defense contractor space. There is no such thing as privacy, and there never has been, ever since the World Wide Web developed. So, when you hear about these leaks, of course, change your passwords. Be vigilant about those kind of things. Don't lose your head. Don't quit at all. I think you'll be fine. All right. Sorry, a little sidebar again there. All right. So when you're thinking about now what's best going forward, the last real big tactic that Facebook is suggesting is groups. I know that you all probably manage groups for your customers, maybe for your team, but I highly encourage you to do this, whether you create a group about a certain topic that you're very passionate about. For me, it's Land Rovers, heavy metal, video games, these things I care about. I want to be in these discussions. I want to know what's going on in the world of these particular things. I'm joining these groups so that I've got content coming into my feed from people who I don't know, but we're all in this shared interest together. So I know that you're familiar with groups as a thing to join and to produce content for and manage for your teams and your customers. Got a chat here. Arsolia, yes, I'm recording this now, and I'm going to put it on YouTube and Facebook later. So no problem that you joined us late. Glad you're here. So when you're thinking about a Facebook group, all right, of course we've been thinking about them, and most people that I talk to think about them from I need to create one for my team, I need to create one for my customers, and then that's where the thinking stops. But if you type in any health buzzword that you can think of, okay, don't search for people. We're going to come up here to the top of our search here, and we're going to click on groups. So we've got on this page, this is poultry natural living. This is about keeping chickens, not that interesting. Natural living. All right, so here we have some kind of living cleaner, natural alternatives for healthy living, herbal medicine and natural living, healthy and natural living, 5,000 members, 20,000 members, 24,000 members. The reason I'm showing you this is because I know a number of Soundboard users who are blowing up their businesses by doing this. They're going out and joining these huge already existing groups to make new connections. All right, gluten-free. Whatever buzzword you think of, 36,000 members, 18,000 members, 35,000 members, 2.5K members. Join these groups. A lot of them have rules about you can't post about specific products, but we're not joining these groups to go preach about our products. We're joining these groups to make connections and to start commenting on other people's posts and to post into these groups with our own content from the Soundboard, which you can do quite easily because there's a button that says Facebook for groups, and it'll post straight in here. So you can go out. Again, whatever your interest is, it doesn't have to be health related. If you're into cycling or kayaking or needlework like I am, find these groups and connect with these people. Build these relationships. I speak to Soundboard users who live in tiny communities who spend their days communicating through total strangers on Facebook, through these groups, making relationships, and then when you take the conversation out of the group, you friend them, and you start sending them articles. You ask, what are they interested in? It is so incredibly powerful. Think of this as this warm market that's just sitting there. Again, you're looking at, 90,000 people here. Just on this, I haven't even scrolled down yet. I've brought this up in trainings before, but I'm bringing it up again because Facebook is reiterating that based on their algorithm, they are showing more and more of this content. Because if you join this group, these posts from this group start getting put into your home feed. So you don't even have to go visit the group page to see what's going on. That is going to be upgraded continually because it's, again, you're sharing in an interest with real people about a real topic. And Facebook is highly favoring that. So please take the time to do that because it's going to benefit you by connecting with new people. It's going to benefit you because you're, again, contributing to a conversation. You're not just consuming, and you're making, untold new connections that can turn into, hopefully product discussion at some point. So I've gone over the time that I was hoping to go, but thank y'all for sticking with me. Please keep your ears to the ground on the way this Facebook Capitol Hill testimony is going to pan out. Facebook's not going anywhere. Of course, you're going to have users drop off. You're going to have more users join. I wouldn't be overly concerned about the fact that Facebook knows everything about you because they always have, and before that, the email providers knew everything about you. So I hope that's not a stab in the heart that these companies don't have your best interests in mind. But as an individual, they don't. You are a consumer. I am a consumer. You are an ad target. I am an ad target. But they still have built this platform where people can really connect, really make real relationships. And so let's keep the positives in mind as we think about that. Does anybody have any questions? I'll hang on for a minute here. I have talked nonstop for 39 minutes. Anybody in the chat? Okie dokie. Well, I will, if you'll check out the chat button, if you haven't clicked on it yet, at the top of it, I have put the links to our YouTube page, to our Facebook page, and as soon as this video renders, I will upload it. Someone is asking, if you had a choice of doing a group or event page, what would you do? Well, they serve two very different purposes. An event page has a lifespan that is going to go off as soon as the event passes. Okay, so I'm going to pull up the Healthy Living Soundboard Facebook page here and just show you. So when you go to the Facebook Healthy Living Soundboard Facebook page, we'll scroll down a little bit here. It might load. There's our interview with Shauna. Got a couple of articles here. So we come up to events. So I have an event, same time next week, it's all about Twitter. Here's the information. As soon as that event is over, it's gone. So if you have an event page that you create, it's for a very specific thing. You can dump a ton of information into it. You can share articles into it, but after the time's up, it disappears. Whereas a group is going to stay there until you dismantle it. So they serve two really different purposes. I hope that answers your question. Oh, an event page, we can message people from the event. Groups, we can't. Yes, that's true. So during the event, you can have a discussion going on the event page itself. But those things aren't showing up like in the friend network unless you are, unless you've signed up through the Facebook event that you're attending. A group, you don't need to message somebody from the group. You're just a member of a group. So you message somebody, if you're talking about private messages, you message somebody from your personal message system. Does that make sense? Hope so. Okay, anybody else? Where can I see the link? Okay, here it is again. Let's see. YouTube.com. Soundboard. And okie dokie. Anyone else? All right, team. I hope to see you. Oh, someone's raising their hand. What do I do about that? Let me see. Let me see what this does. Denise, are you there? You are muted. Oh, Denise asked, is there disadvantages of posting in a group versus your timeline? Well, if you post in a group, the target for that group, I mean, the target for that post is that group itself. So like your friends aren't going to see that post ever if they're not in the group. Whereas when you're posting on your personal timeline, you can either post to your friend network or you can make a public post so that anybody can see. So, yeah. All right, everybody. You are welcome. Thanks for being here. See you next week.